Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about distractions. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, how do you avoid distractions when you are up against a tight schedule? That's actually very easy. You simply focus on your work, uh, and I mean, I don't know what you mean by distractions, but just let's assume that there are the classic ones, which is so common, like there's a bunch of meetings, there's this, there's that, etc., etc. It's actually not that difficult, I find, because you simply have to start saying to people who want you to be in these ad hoc meetings that unfortunately I don't have time right now. Unfortunately, I don't have time right now. Unfortunately, I have to focus on this other thing I'm doing. And if there ever is if the people who have all these distractions or cause these distractions, if you don't want to put focus on that you are saying no, you can simply defer it to your manager or to the people who are actually setting the deadline in the first place, which is something that I really like doing. Because I have this, I give this tip to everybody who is a software developer. Don't, as a rule, put yourself in the position where it's you who is making the decision. What I mean by that is basically that someone has a stake in the work that you are doing, and it costs you more to act, like in some cases, to act independently and sort of stick your neck out than it is to just say you can communicate the right thing and get your will without putting the focus on that it is you who is opposing or like making a problem for somebody else. And I see this all the time. An example would be if someone asks you to do this really quick thing for them and you say no, and they feel like, yeah, well, why like, maybe you could be a little bit of a buddy here, or like they sort of try to make it your problem, that you are the one who's saying no because you are unwilling to help. Well, what's dangerous is that if they don't understand why you're saying no, is that they might fill in the blanks themselves and start blaming you, and then there's all this friction and etc., etc. And so in that scenario, it's actually better to just say, yeah, I would love to help you. I have some extra time, but unfortunately I'm earmarked, like I'm working on this other thing. Can you go to my PO or my boss or whoever and just ask that person if I should focus on the thing that you want help with or the thing that they want help with? It's like office politics jiu-jitsu. You just diverted all the potential fallout from saying no by saying that you're really willing to help, you're very excited to help, you want to help, it's going to be so great when you get to help, but you have this other person who's already forcing you to do something else. Maybe they can talk it through and then you can come back, they can come back, and you're going to be super positive and super happy and help and so forth. Because if you put out the positive attitude initially by just saying that of course I want to help, but unfortunately I'm blocked by this other thing, then all of a sudden the direction of like whatever, you're basically saying no, but you're saying no with a smile. And you're just diverting the potential fallout and the potential confrontation to the person who's actually responsible for giving you the deadline or like the schedule in the first place. I do the same thing. I give front-end developers or back-end developers, it doesn't really matter who you are, the same sort of tip when you're dealing with designers or stuff like that. Classic one for the front-end developers is that the designs that you are given are non-standard or non-compliant with the company standards. And so what the developers do, they interpret this as the absolute truth, and they try to write new components or like try to fix things or like add more permutations or fuck up the code basically, so that this thing that the designer is doing that is not really the thing that we agreed on or how it should work fits. And then instead of just saying, hey, actually this is not standard, and then the designer has to sort of be responsible for saying that, well, yeah, I know it's not standard, but it would be so nice if we could do that. And now they're trying to sort of doing the thing that as I mentioned, they're trying to circumvent the boring corporate, like whatever agreement you have, right, how it should work. And instead of you taking the fight with them and say, no, I don't think that this is right, etc., etc., you just say that, yeah, I'm super happy to make this change. Can you just make sure that whoever is responsible for the design or like so forth, that you go through the proper channels, you sort of kill them with bureaucracy. Because now you move the responsibility for meeting expectations from you to them, because it's them who is the person who's taking, who's making this request and so forth and so forth. And now you're directing them back to, come back to me when when I know that I can safely make this update, because it's going to increase the scope. And this is something that a lot of people don't understand, because they're trying to be buddies with people, and they try to like make this, like they want to be the office hero, and they try to help people, etc., etc., which is, you should do that when it's appropriate. But sometimes you have to understand that when you are, for example, ignoring the work that you are supposed to be doing to do something else without telling other people, etc., etc., you are taking a risk, because you're sort of like your time is already earmarked. You're being directed to do this thing. And so all these other distractions that are coming your way, they are going to end up making somebody else disappointed. So you have to, you basically have to use the bureaucracy to your strengths, or to because it is possible. It is possible for you to make someone feel like, yeah, this person is really, like this developer, they are really nice and they always want to help, but unfortunately they're always so busy, instead of making people feel like, oh, this person is unreliable. They just go and do other stuff instead of doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing. Or feel like, yeah, this person always says no, they're not really friendly, they're not helpful, etc., etc. That is the situation that you have to maneuver, because by just following the established quote-unquote way of doing things while having a smile doing so, you very often, at least I find, that there are no distractions. Never, because the distractions are not possible. They cannot happen without the person who is responsible for your schedule making the conscious decision and agreeing that this distraction is worth pausing the work that you are supposed to be doing. And so this is one of those rare instances where bureaucracy is your friend if you know how to wield it well. So what I want you to take away from this is that avoiding distractions when I'm on a tight deadline is super easy, because you simply have to just shut other just don't reply to stuff, or say that unfortunately you're busy right now. And if somebody is really enthusiastic or like really on your case about like this other thing that is super important, smile to them, be super friendly, and just say, yeah, I'll gladly help you. I just need to make sure that I can focus on this thing because I'm already working on this thing. Could you check with whoever is creating the schedule if that's fine? And then you make it their problem. And then because that way you have politically, you're sort of positioning yourself in the best situation. You are making sure that the person who is right now, the person who's your main stakeholder, the person who you're doing the deliverable for, that person is now informed and can make the decision for you. You don't have to stick your neck, you don't have to risk, going off doing something else and then finding out that actually now you're stuck in a bad situation because you made a decision to stop doing the thing you were supposed to be doing for something else, and maybe that took longer than you expected, etc., etc. Now it's on you. Now you are the problem. But by doing this, you sort of you cover your back completely, and it's actually the way that it should work in a lot of companies. And one of those cases where I say it's sort of like the law. People like to talk about like the legal system and so forth, that's corrupt, that's like flawed, and so forth and so forth. Absolutely, there's tons of problems with it, but when it does work, it's actually a very useful tool. And this is one of those instances where bureaucracy actually is going to help you if you just know how to deal with it in the right way. Have a great day.